Hello, hello, hi, geekpreneur. Sorry. What is going on? Welcome. I'm gonna call it Friday in hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. My name is Sean Zamy, and I am somebody who used to work 14, 16-hour days in an office. I think about it, and it's crazy to say those things. Used to work 14, 16-hour days in an office, 6 days a week, often 7 days a week, until my pancreas quit on me, left me unemployable without anything to fall back on. Yeah, that kind of was not cool. So now I help folks to start a side gig online and grow it using social media. If that resonates with you, drop the word me in the comments and let's go. I'll get back with you after this live. If you're joining me live, you're definitely a trooper because it is 2:02 a.m. in Southern California. So if you're joining me live, you are a trooper. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I myself am from Southern California. I'm sorry it's so late that I'm going live, but hey, still gotta do it. So I have a really good live for you tonight. Some of you really like experiences, experiments, and you like evidence, and you like um, tests, and all this stuff. Well, I got a good one for you tonight. Tonight, I am going to talk to you about a rat pack experience. Okay. Did you know if you were to put a small glass of water and a container of something addictive like sugar, cocaine, or something that is addictive in a glass, and you put them both in a rat's cage. First day, the rat is going to get high once. The next day, he's going to get high twice. And then as time goes, it's going to get high more often. In fact, in a few years, few weeks, this rat is going to die from overdose. Now get this. Every time I sneeze, I hold it in, and I know my dad always says you gotta let it out. Anyway, so did you know if you actually expanded this cage a little bit larger, you put a few female rats and a few male rats into this cage, and you put a few toys in there so that they could have a good time, they could actually interact with each other, they could have reproductive relationships together. If you were to do that with this experiment, it shows that none of the rats get addicted. Maybe occasionally they'll come in and they'll get high on that glass container, if you would, but none of them showed that they would get addicted to a point where they would overdose and die. Isn't that interesting? Now, what does that tell us? You may say, well, it's obvious because the first case, the rat was alone, didn't have anything to do, didn't have anybody around, and it was a small little cage. And so, yeah, true. So, a lot of times we think that the drug is the problem, but the drug is actually a temporary solution that a lot of people use when they are not surrounded by other people, when they feel lonely, when they feel alone, or when they feel like they're not accomplishing anything, they're not growing, they're not having fun, they're not interacting with others. A lot of times we put ourselves in that little first cage and we self medicate on things. That's the reason why people get addicted, right? Oh, what? You can't hear me? No. Can you hear me now? All that time. Can you hear me now? I'm knocking. Oh, so did you hear anything I shared at all or no? Should I go over it again? I'm knocking. That's cool. I just joined. Okay, okay. So I was talking, I'll give it to you really brief, just in case you can hear. Yash. I'm a huge Rocky fan. Don't mind me in my robe and my little thing. Uh, it's late. So, hey, I'm a huge Rocky fan. Huge, huge Rocky fan. If you're not following me, hit that follow me. Let's go. So I was talking about a rat pack experiment where they took one rat, put it in a small cage, had a glass of water, small container of water, and a small container of something addictive. They had put drugs in there. They had put more morphine in there, and it was actually morphine in there. And they noticed that the first day the rat got high once, and the second day the rat got high a couple times, and as weeks went by, the rat got high more often to where in a few weeks the rat had gotten so high that overdosed and died. Well, then they took this cage, extended it a little bit, put a few female rats and a few male rats, and let them socialize, have fun together, have reproductive relationships with each other. And they noticed that, hey, this is actually working. And they also put a few toys in there for the rats, so they started to have fun. And they noticed that none of the rats would get high often. Maybe once in a while they would come and they would get high on that more morphine, if you would. But most of the time they drank actually water. And none of them ever overdosed to die. So what it tells you is that a lot of times we think that the drug is the problem, but in this situation, drug is actually a temporary solution, not a complete forever fix, but a temporary solution to get you out of that out of that reality, if you would. So a lot of times, what happens, we look at the wrong place for the solution, right? So a lot of times we put ourselves in these cages and we don't socialize, we don't interact, we have no room for growth. And so we slowly wither away. We slowly, thank you for the follow. I'll be sure to follow you back. Did this with vapes. I remember someone did this with vapes. Oh, they did? Huh. I gotta look into that. So a lot of times we put ourselves in that situation and then we look for temporary solutions. But we don't understand that we started this whole thing. We put our own selves in that situation that makes us look to a temporary solution. And that's why we can, in one example I'll give you, you can have one job and then go to another job and to another job and to another job because you job hop. right? Because that's a temporary solution versus perhaps you starting something on the side, starting a business or being an entrepreneur on the side. Never leave your full time and build something on the side and grow it, right? So a lot of times we put ourselves in those situations and we look for these temporary solutions. I'm asking you to pay more attention to the solutions you're picking because they could be a very temporary solution. It would be like a band-aid that you know how if the edge of your finger cuts, you put a band-aid on, it's almost impossible to wrap that band-aid around for it to stay for 24 hours. It always comes off. Well, I do have a trick now how to tie it so that it won't, but I didn't know that until, a couple few days ago. I saw this trick on TikTok actually. But you know how it's just such a temporary solution to such a big problem. So you want to make sure that the solution is bigger than the problem, not smaller, right? And pay attention to those cases. With that, hopefully you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value. I appreciate you. Drop your thoughts, your comments, your feedback below. If you feel like this is worthy of sharing, do what you got to do. Spread the love. Tag a couple people. And yeah, with that, I am Sean Azimi. I am somebody who used to work 14, 16-hour days in an office 6 days a week, often 7 days a week, until my pancreas decided to quit on me and leave me unemployable without anything to fall back on. Shocked. So now I help folks to start a side gig online and grow it using social media. If that resonates with you, drop the word me in the comments. I'll get back with you after this live. Hey, listen, if I can do it with my little t-shirt and my little robe, come on. This whole gig economy, let's go. With that, I am signing off until tomorrow when we do it all over again. Much love.